Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard. I went from being a lawyer and partner at one of the largest firms in America to becoming an online personality and successful entrepreneur. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your health and personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you chase joy while achieving success? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Welcome back to Hustle and Flow. I am your host, Heather Hubbard, and today I am going to break down for you what I accomplished, didn't accomplish, what I learned over the summer. So if you listened to episode 243, you know that I plan in thirds. I don't plan in quarters, I plan in thirds. For a few different reasons. You can go back and listen to that episode if you're curious. And then in episode 245, I went ahead and shared how I did my strategy for the next third, which was May, June, July, and August. And I shared what my focus was going to be. So now that that third is up, I've gone through 4 more months. I thought I would share with you a review of how it went, where I had to pivot, lessons I learned, as well as what my focus is going to be for the last third. So September through December. So hopefully this will help you kind of see how a strategist actually reviews things and plans ahead. So I had 3 main areas of focus for the summer. There was a 4th one, but it wasn't really a focus because I felt like I knew I was going to do it. But the first focus was my health. It was really feeling vibrant and energetic and healthy and continuing to try to lose the weight that I had gained when I had the tumor. The second thing that I was focused on was my memoir. So really working on the book proposal, working on the book itself and making progress. And then I wanted to have the proposal fully done and querying agents. That's what that's called. When you go to get an agent, it's called querying an agent. And then the third was growing my audience. So I was going to focus more on getting more newsletter subscribers, more podcast subscribers, as well as more Instagram followers. The throwaway, that last thing that I was focused on, but didn't really feel like a big rock, was I was going to sell out my Joy in the Journey retreat for September 28th to October 1st. And I was going to pre-sell my all-in annual mastermind. And Karma has decided to make an appearance if you're watching on YouTube. And so I thought, let me share with you how that went. Okay. A lot of these were actually extensions of what I had already been working on in the first third. So I have really been focused on my health and my vitality all year long. That was one of my big goals for the year. But as opposed to planning ahead for the full year, I just do a third at a time. And doing that allows me to stay super focused and not constantly change and pivot, but really move forward with something and then evaluate before I see, do I just maintain or do I change things? So I maintained if you listen to the prior episode, I maintained using the Mayo Clinic app where I literally am just tracking the food pyramid. By the way, I'll get this in just a second with the results. But just a few weeks ago, actually, I went to my doctor for my annual exam and she was just like, what have you done? Like she was blown away. She was like, what have you done? I said, I literally am doing the food pyramid. And she was like what we learned in kindergarten? I said, yeah, that. And she was like, can you come talk to all my clients or all my patients? I was like, clearly I was not doing it forever and a day. And I don't know if it would work for everybody, but it has worked wonders for me. I've continued doing the food pyramid, did not change that at all. And Dancing, I continued dancing, although if you follow me on social media or my newsletter, you may know of the saga. Although I talked about this also in the podcast episode back in August about the Kinergy case study. And so I had a gym and I was wanting to keep going like 3 to 5 times a week. And then the gym shut down, like with a few days' notice. And so I did have to pivot, not because this, like sometimes you have the best made plans, sometimes you have the best strategies, and life is gonna life, and you just have to go with it. So I started trying to just dance at home. And here's what I learned: it's not just dancing that brings me joy, it's dancing in community. Dancing in community feels amazing. Dancing in community brings me joy. Dancing by myself with a video, that's actually not fun at all for me. So I found another place. It's actually much harder. So now I only go like 2 days a week. But I dance now 2 days a week at this new studio. And so I have stuck with that all summer. And then the third thing that I had been doing before was red light therapy. And I was actually going to a place for the red light. And it was like $150 a month. And I had done it for 6 months. And so I thought, well, maybe I'm in good shape because it was supposed to be good for energy. It was supposed to be good to help, with rebuilding muscles as I was like working out again. And one of the side benefits was it helped my skin. And I just felt better. Like it improved my mood. But after 6 months, I was like, maybe that's a placebo effect. And also, like, what if I got what I needed out of it? Like, do I really have to maintain this my whole life? So, July, I tested, and I had shared that I might test this earlier. I tested not doing it. So, I did no red light in July. And again, I'll share results. I then started doing red light again in August. And the other thing that I was going to do was really focus on spending a few quality times with friends and family. And so had the best time on a trip with my brother and sister-in-law and nephew in New York. We had an absolute ball and got in some of those other important events as well. So it was a good summer overall, but now I'm going to share exact results and lessons learned. Okay, with the health. Super excited to report. So last time, in the first third, I lost 12.5 pounds. In this third, I lost 16.6 pounds. 16.6 pounds. I think I had shared last time that really I had been focused just on the same like diet that I had always been focused on, and I was dancing, but it really wasn't changing anything. And it was really those last 2 months where I was doing the Mayo Clinic app and the food pyramid, where I then lost really most of that weight in the last 2 months. So that's why this past third, it was actually more weight, was simply because I was doing the food thing longer. So I am 3 pounds away from my pre-tumor weight. So I am ecstatic about that. The goal was actually to get back to the pre-tumor weight by the end of this third. Didn't happen, but I don't care. I am so pleased with the results and I feel good. So one of the things that I was going to share with the red light in July, so I stopped doing it. Y'all, a few things happened. One, my skin, a mess, a complete and utter mess. I had all kinds of just acne and just some other issues that I had previously had with the tumor, that where things flared up again that hadn't been an issue because the cortisol thinned a lot of my skin. I was not in the best mood. And this kind of popped up mid-July. And I was like, could this have any relation to the red light therapy? What is happening? And so by the end of the month, and I was also having some ankle issues, by the end of the month, I was just like, what is happening? But I did some research and I actually bought my own red light panel, as opposed to, so the place I was going, it was more like it would look like a tanning bed, but it's not a tanning bed, so it's like full body. And so I just got a panel, and it was an investment, but I did the math and I was like, well, this will pay for itself for, like, if I just use it the rest of the year. And so I use it every day for 5 minutes, and sure enough, once I started doing that again over the last 5 weeks in August, skin looks good again, energy and mood is better again. Those skin issues I had were totally resolved. So I'm a believer. I'm a believer. And when I was at the doctor and she was asking about the skin issues, and I was telling her that they had cleared up, and then I stopped doing red light and they came back. And then I went back to red light and it cleared up again. And she said, look, there have been so many stories of people coming back, really loving the red light and saying that it has helped so many things. So just FYI, for those of you who are like curious about that, maybe I'll share more in a later episode, but it has really worked wonders for me. And then the dancing, the dancing has gone great. I love it. There is an update on that. I'll share that with the focus for the the last part. But overall, really, really pleased with the health focus. And yeah, just really knocked that one out of the park. The book, the book, the book, the book. Whew, what a journey. It has kicked my ass, truly. So I think I had shared I was doing Lovey Ajayi Jones, the Book Academy. And she then I believe that was June. It started in July. Maybe it was July. She started a book proposal program. So any of us who were in the academy, we were allowed to do a book proposal program where we literally broke down. So we spent every single week for, I think it was like 6 weeks. It was an hour and a half, and we got on, we had a very particular, a very specific project. We worked through it, and then we did some Q&A. And that really helped me make progress and move forward. Still was doing the mastermind that I was in, and that was helping me move forward. And then I also ended up, because I was really struggling with some of the structure pieces, a fiction writer who is a best-selling author for a romance. I hired her to just help me from a developmental perspective. And all three of those were super, super beneficial. If I did not have those, I think I would have given up because I was really struggling. Where I got stuck was, by the way, if this was a how-to book, and if you're curious about the book and why I'm doing the book and the details of the memoir versus how to, all of that, you can go back and listen to, let me see, what episode was that? Episode 235. I kind of share all of that. And truly, from a how-to perspective, like one day I literally mapped it out because I was just curious. I was like, am I not a good, like, can I not actually write? Do I not actually understand the concept of writing a book? And so I was like, I wonder if I could actually do the how-to. Knocked that out in like a matter of hours because it's so structured. It's so like, that's my world. It's like probably your world too. Like, we're analytical. We know how to organize things. It was like, gah. But doing a memoir, not a how-to book, it has really pushed me. So I used to do a ton of creative writing when I was younger, but I haven't done any creative writing since I've been an adult, really, since I've gone to college, like after I took whatever class where I probably had to do that. I have just gone in so many different circles trying to get the structure right, get the stories right, the angles right, because people don't want to read your story if it's not, one, interesting, but two, still like pulls them in, right? Like no one wants to read your journal. So really like trying to play with those concepts. And I think the other thing that was really hard for me is like I would write an entire chapter and it felt really, really good. And then I would share it with like my agent mastermind or my editor, and they would want me to like go at it from a different angle. And let me tell you, when you do all that work, it's the concept of like kill your darlings. It's like it took so much to write that. And now you want me to throw it out? Because I think I had shared before, if you were on my newsletter list, like I had 10,000 words. And it's like, okay, so we're scrapping the 10,000 words? Like we're starting over? Not that the story comes out, but the angle comes out. And I'm just, and so that part has been super frustrating. And so but I'm very committed to this and it feels like a piece of art. And I'm a beginner. This is not something that is, natural to me. It could be eventually, but it's not been. So doing the actual proposal has not been the problem. Like when we're talking about marketing sections and all of that, like the pieces where like a lot of traditional memoirists, where they actually, what they don't want to focus on and what they struggle with, like I'm like acing it. But when it came to the actual development of the book and the ideas and what I'm trying to accomplish, that's been more difficult. But I will say I stuck with it. I've pushed through and the proposal is almost done. What's missing is we're still working on a few sample chapters and the overall structure, but like we're making progress and getting there. While I did not hit the goal of having the proposal done and the query out, I'm okay with that because had I forced it, like when you're doing art, if you try to force it, it's not going to work. So I was showing up, I was doing the work, and I am making progress, and I can see how it's shaping. So I was still very, very pleased with that focus and that outcome. The third area, totally pivoted, totally pivoted. So on audience growth, I literally pivoted, I think, within 3 to 4 weeks. And the reason why is I knew that I wanted to do a rebrand in the last third of the year. I had been planning for that, budgeting for that, like time and money. I already knew who I wanted to hire to do the rebrand because I'm on her email list and I follow her on social media. She shared, because the way she does her rebrands from a systems perspective, she kind of does them in cohorts. And she shared that like she was doing the last one for the year in June. And there wasn't going to be another opportunity to do that until 2026. And given what I'm trying to do with the book and some other things, I was like, I don't want to wait until 2026. So this kind of comes back. It's similar to the dance. It's like sometimes things show up that didn't go to your plan. And so you have to choose, am I going to stick with what I was doing or am I going to pivot to change what's happening in a circumstance that's beyond my control? Either option would have been fine. What would not have worked was me saying, I'll just add this on. I'll do all of it. I have to do all of it. I'll just add this on. When I say I truly have like 3 main focuses, I mean it, because it's impossible to get the results you want trying to focus on too many things at once. And we can feel the need of, but it's all going to get done. I've got to focus on it all. But you're still not going to get the results, regardless of what you think in your mind. Like you're going to water down your results. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do the rebrand. I don't want to wait until 2026. And I feel like if I'm growing my audience, but I haven't yet got my repositioning that I'm envisioning done, that wasn't what I wanted long term. So I let go of growing the audience and I pivoted to, all right, well, we're going to do the rebrand. So what was not planned, but that I shifted to by the end of May, because I signed up early June. I think her closing date was like June 9, maybe, to get into her rebrand cohort. So she's a creative director and really oversees a lot of different areas. So I did a photo shoot. Well, one, I had to work with her on coming up with the creative vision and what I was wanting out of the rebrand and the positioning. And then we did the photo shoot and I had to write the copy for the entire website. And I really did want to start from scratch. I didn't want to repurpose. So rewrote the entire website, including the privacy policy and the terms and conditions, like literally everything got a refresh. And so that took a lot of time. And what was really interesting in that, both in terms of the photo shoot And the copy was I got a lot of clarity as I was working through that. I also got a lot of clarity while I was working on the book. And so, in combination with those things, it actually impacted some of the things that are happening in the business and even the way I'm going to be growing my audience. So it ended up being a blessing in disguise and really worked out. But I totally pivoted. I totally pivoted. And I'm okay with that. So that's kind of the way that when you're ever thinking about pivoting while you're working through something, it should never really be, am I adding something on? Am I coming up with a whole new plan? It should still actually support the bigger vision. So when you've got your big vision for the year and then you're focusing on the different thirds, anytime you make a pivot, it should still support that vision. And like I said, I still had that planned for the very last third. So things just got moved around a bit. And I changed that focus pretty early on within that third. And then last, which I said was not a major focus, but something that we were working on the business, was selling out the retreat, which we did. That by the time you all are watching this is going to be happening very, very soon. September 28th to October 1st. So I cannot wait to be out there with the new group as well as alumni. And then also, I was going to pre-sell spots to the All In Mastermind. And I did that as well. The All In Mastermind is now open. Applications are open. So go check that out if you are interested. I have not yet opened the applications at the point where I am doing this particular recording. So I don't know how many spots are left. 3 were taken in pre-enrollment. So there were 9 spots left when applications opened. I don't know where we are now, but go check it out. I'm so excited about that program. Okay, so that's the review. That's the review. And now I will very, very quickly share my focus for the last third. Still focused on that health and vitality. It was a huge goal for the entire year. And so we're sticking with it. I'm sticking with the food pyramid. If I continue to lose weight, great. If I don't, I'm fine. Like, I am very happy with the actual process. I feel good about the lifestyle of the food pyramid. So I'm just basically going to maintain that lifestyle, that strategy, and then whatever results from it, results from it. I was going to continue the dance, which I just love so much, but I found out that an old cheerleading injury from high school has caught up with me and may, this kind of blew my mind, have been the cause of the stress fracture in my left leg when I was running 15 years ago. So I had, back when I was still with Kinergy, I had an issue come up with my foot where I thought I had just pulled something and it was not getting better. And so anyway, allowed a lot of time to go by, started doing x-rays, MRIs, all the things. And my ankle is very unstable. And I don't know. I'm not a doctor and I get a little woozy thinking about this stuff, so I don't listen too much. But something about it's got to be cleaned out and repositioned. And I have a tendon on the bottom of my foot, which is causing a lot of pain and is causing part of my foot to feel numb all the time. And so they're not sure how much has to get reconstructed on that. But it either is torn and has not healed and has gone beyond the time of it healing, which means it has to have surgery. It won't heal on its own, or it's been degenerating over the years because of that ankle. So I have to have surgery October 23rd, and it's pretty extensive. So like I cannot drive for 6 weeks, and I won't be fully back to day-to-day life, being athletic, dancing for 4 to 6 months. And that makes me so sad. I'm going to really be working on making sure that, because in winter, I always have like seasonal depression with the light. So I'm going to be leaning into the red light for that. Still doing the pyramid. And because I'm kind of going to be at the house and can't leave much, and definitely won't be getting that dancing in, I'm really going to be working on some strategies to make sure that I keep my mood up. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting testing time. but it's what's needed for the long term. The other thing that I will be focusing on is the book. I'm still working on the book, and the focus, at least for this part, will be starting to query those agents. My goal, I would love to have an agent by the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, I wanted a book deal by the end of the year. And I'm now seeing that that's probably not possible. I know so much more now than I did. And again, if like I was focused on achieving that goal as opposed to making sure I was coming up with the best book, then it would look very different. And the truth is, with the vision, that has to take priority. So if you know that strategy pyramid, the vision has to take priority. So the goal is different. The goal has to change. So the goal now is not to have the book deal, to have the agent. So that's what we'll be working on. And then I'll continue to work on writing the book and developing the book. The third focus relates to somewhat of the rebrand, but it actually is related to my programs and my offers and selling. So last time, I think I said, it was kind of a throwaway. It really is a focus. So I have always had it's part of just how I've got my business structured, and I am focused on goals and strategy. I do a lot of my sales in that last third. So selling out the all-in mastermind with the most amazing, fabulous people whom I'm really excited to work with next year. That's a goal. And then also I plan on having everything done. The workbook, all the details for New Orleans, everything for Banff, just the whole year. It's fully planned out, booked out, systems, everything. And then also there is a super exciting new offer that's coming with the rebrand. And with that rebrand, there will be exciting stuff with that. There's going to be giveaways, probably challenges to really support that repositioning and that concept. There's going to be a new podcast format that will not come until 2026, but it's going to require a lot of work behind the scenes. So that's the third focus. It's really the new repositioning that I'm just so excited about. And then audience growth, I'm still not moving to that. When I look at how much time I have, when I look at where I want to focus and what I'm trying to do, especially now that the rebrand has happened, that's going to be the focus for 2026. It'll probably be one of the biggest 2026 goals that I have, but it is not going to be a priority for me in the last third. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, so there it is. And now Taylor has shown up. So you get to see all my cats in this episode. Well, not all. Lilybet is not here. So that's it. That's the summer review, what worked, what didn't work, where I had to change things up, as well as a preview of what I am focusing on for the last third. So if you have not yet done any of your reviews for the year or planned ahead, don't wait until 2026. Go ahead, do it now. And if you're like, I could use this whole third concept in my life and have someone really help me move it forward. If you are an entrepreneur or a professional with an entrepreneurial spirit, go check out the All-In Mastermind, because that's what we do. I literally have it structured to follow the same system that I use. And I'm also there with you each step of the way so that we are working on everything together, refining your assets. It is for business growth, but you can go to heatherjoyhubbard.com/mastermind. We're going to have a ball. And when this is coming out, I believe you still would qualify for the early bird bonus, which means you could actually get started this fall. Because the early bird bonus not only includes a price discount, it includes a free spot to my growth accelerator program this fall. So you could go ahead and get started on making progress towards some of those goals that maybe you've let slide to the wayside, and you got to really get focused. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give the episode a like and leave a comment below so we can keep the conversation going. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future episode or announcement. Listening on Apple, Spotify, or another podcast app, You can watch the video and join in the after show conversation by visiting hustleandflowpodcast.com.